Hey everybody, Brian Rundle, Black and White with Brian Rundle and Lana Quest. Lana should be joining me here anytime now. So obviously we have a lot of things to talk about. The main story, of course, is Kamala Harris picked her vice presidential candidate in Tim Walz. It was, I think if you were talking about this a couple weeks ago, you would probably think that this would have never happened, or nobody would even had considered Tim Walz. But over the last few weeks or months or so, it's kind of been all over the place, giving everybody an idea of who he is and why he now is the vice presidential candidate. He was on the circuit and he was doing a lot of interviews, and as he continued to be on these interviews and continue to put himself in the public eye, it became more and more clear that Kamala Harris needed to consider him because he was just fantastic on all of these interviews. He was kind of down to earth. He was hard hitting on the opponents. He's relatable. There's a lot of things about Tim Walz that fits the criteria of what Kamala Harris was looking for. Now, of course, one thing that Lana and I had talked about is one thing they were definitely looking for in this particular case is I don't think anybody would disagree with the fact that they were looking for somebody who was a white male. And you have a white male talking, but now look who joins me. Hi, Lana. You have your microphone.
I have everything
Plugged in.
Yes. Yeah. Hi, everyone.
I was just talking about the VP choice.
Yes.
What were your thoughts when you initially heard it?
Yeah, right. Like I'm a Shapiro fan, so I was like, it's gonna be Shapiro. It's gonna be Shapiro. So when I heard Walz this morning, I was like,
were you disappointed?
I was disappointed. It's like it wasn't a bad choice. I just didn't understand it until I thought more about it. And I think I understand why that choice was made. But
yeah, well, this is what I think. I think because I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and I said, the more and more I'm thinking about it, I do like this Tim Walz guy for a couple of reasons. One, I think, and there's obviously no guarantee to this, but I think he knocks out 2 states instead of 1. I think he secures Michigan. I think he secures Wisconsin, because the whole Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota area, very, very similar states. They're all very similar, and I think they know him. And I think it helps secure those states. So now you just need to get Pennsylvania. And I can't imagine that the Harris campaign and everybody else didn't talk to Josh Shapiro. And Josh Shapiro had 100% guaranteed them and made them feel like, look, you got nothing to worry about. If you don't pick me, I'm not telling. It's not like I'm going to go in a corner like Bernie Sanders did with Hillary and pout about it. In fact, if you watch the rally today, which we have some clips, he was one of the first speakers and he was very excited. And, these guys have to realize that you're on the short list, but you might not be picked. And if you're not picked, you have to accept it and move on.
Yeah. I kind of think that because they were saying like she didn't make the decision until this morning, like she had to think about that. So it definitely was between Walz and Shapiro. And like I said, I really thought about it because I know that they had to wait, and I know they wanted to secure Pennsylvania because the other ones, Pennsylvania's that's the big cheese. We cannot win without Pennsylvania.
Absolutely.
But Shapiro has that issue with his staff committing that sexual assault and the way he handled that.
Yes.
That started swirling around last week. Then you had crazy Fetterman going around. And I don't think that any of the progressive had any whatever. I really think it's that sexual the way he handled that sexual assault, because there's such a short amount of time that they couldn't fix it, change the narrative on it. Like if it was a regular situation and they would have had the time to work with that, I think that she would have chose him. Like I think she wanted to choose him because we saw the fucking fire that he brought when he came out of there. Like it was, I mean, Walz is good, but Shapiro is next level good. And I really think that her ticket would have been great with that next level whatever. But I really think if she chose him, that Trump and team would have been hammering on that sexual assault. They would have been talking about it like he did it, right? And they would have confused the whole narrative around what happened to make it look like he actually did it. And she would have had to, that would have been the focus, and that would have brought her down. So like they said, do no harm. She had to think about like, he's not harming on purpose. It's just that baggage that he would have brought, I think would have really, it would have done.
And we kind of live in this day and age too. It's kind of, you know, they would have harped on that, ignoring all of Donald Trump's sexual assault charges and his rape, you know, being liable for rape and all that stuff. They would have completely ignored that. But you know what, Lana, I'm starting to get this feeling that anymore that the way they keep trying to spin things, I mean, I don't know if you're getting the same feeling, but I'm getting this feeling that Americans are kind of sick and tired of it. They're kind of like, we've been through this for 8 years. We've heard the same bullshit for 8 years over and over and over again. Most of the shit that you say is either bullshit or never comes through. I mean, at some point we got to stop believing this shit. I personally think, I don't think it mattered who she picked, even Pete, you know, people, I've heard a lot of people say, well, you can't pick Pete because if you have a woman and a gay guy, you're definitely going to lose a lot of these male votes, which a lot of the male votes you were probably going to lose were going to be some of the male votes that weren't going to vote for him anyway. You know, so I don't know if you really lost, but
they couldn't risk it. I get it.
But I don't know if she could have gone wrong with no matter who she picked. I think with Tim Walz, I think what's going to be really good for him is a lot of people don't know him right off the bat. So it's hard to attack him. You know, it's hard. You know, the only attacks I've seen so far is that he got arrested for a DUI like 30 plus years ago. I mean, if that's the hardest hitting thing that they've got on him, I think they're in big trouble. And I'm guessing that just in the short amount of time they had a chance to vet, and it is a scary thing when you vet for a short amount of time. You saw what happened with Sarah Palin. You know, but the difference is that I feel like somebody like Tim Walz is nowhere near a Sarah Palin. He's not going to blow up later and be some whack job. That he's going to be exactly who we see on these videos. So if you don't know, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, just so hilarious and out of place. Like his wife came up there and I'm like, oh boy, did she think she was going to a PTA meeting today? Like, did anyone not tell her where she
I think
was
that's sort of the charm, though.
I know,
it's
true,
the charm that
hilarious.
You're really starting to try to relate with the normal regular people instead of the people wearing the fancy dresses and the fancy.
No, it's absolutely true, but it wasn't.
It was.
I was like, she didn't even do her hair. It's like she got screwed and just went.
And you know him, he would have showed up in a t-shirt if he was allowed to. But you know,
oh my god, I was trying to make a graphic for our team, and I'm like, everything is him with like t-shirts and beer and holding dogs. Like,
and guns, and you know, he's got a camouflage hat on. So, you know, I think it plays. And see, the difference between him is he's not wearing this stuff to try to fool middle America. That's genuinely him. But on the other side, he genuinely is a liberal. He genuinely cares about people and how they're treated. And so, you know, we can talk about him here a little bit more. But if you don't know Tim Walz, there's a nice video that I found earlier. This gives you a nice introduction to him, and you can get a better idea of who he is.
Life is as much about the lessons you learn as the lessons you teach. When I grew up, community was a way of life. My high school class was 24 people. I was related to half of them. I learned to be generous towards my neighbors, compromise without compromising my values, and work for the common good. My dad was in the Army, and with his encouragement, I joined the Army National Guard when I was 17. I served for 24 years. I used my GI benefits to go to college and become a public school teacher. I coached football and taught social studies for 20 years. And I tried to teach my students what small-town Nebraska taught me: respect, compromise, service to country. And so when I went into government, that's what I carried with me. I worked with Republicans to pass an infrastructure bill, cut taxes for working families, signed paid leave into law. I codified abortion rights after Roe got overturned. Because I go to work for the common good. But enough about me. Let's talk about you. Because that's what this election is about. It's about your future. It's about your family. And Vice President Harris knows that. She too grew up in a middle-class family. She too goes to work every day, making sure families can not just get by, but get ahead. We believe in the promise of America, in those values I learned in Nebraska, and we're ready to fight for them. Because as Kamala Harris says, when we fight, we win.
Lana, let me ask you, if before the Kamala Harris part of it, if you were watching that video and you had to guess what side of the aisle he was on, what would you have guessed?
Democrat.
You would have.
He's caring for people. What do you mean?
All right. Well, that's a good point. But when you hear, he was in the military, he's a football coach, he was a school teacher, he was all this stuff. Oh, maybe the school teacher part, you'd be right. But no, you're right. It's a good answer. I tried to set you up and you ran right over my fucking question.
Like Republicans, they go to Yale, they're leaders. They're not these people. What's her name said it today? Sarah McCaskill, or yesterday. She's like, Tim Walz is who Vance wants you to believe he is.
Correct.
Like, and that's true. He's not that guy. Republicans are not that. I would never think that that's a Republican.
Yeah. I actually, you know what? That's a great answer, because I really was trying to set you up to say Republican and you laid it out perfectly. You're right. But at the same time, he does have those relatable qualities, that football coach thing, in the military and everything that it's hard for, because I did a show last week, and I think part of the strategy for the right is they think they're going to shame heterosexual men into voting for a woman president. And that's a big thing for them. Right. But, what does she do? She goes out and gets, the stereotypical heterosexual man who's the football coach, who's the military guy, and all this stuff. And just, the regular Joe. And I actually think it's going to play well. I think it's also going to play well very well in a state like Pennsylvania. And that's why I think they strategized this well, is that they thought they can knock out two birds with one stone. I think they already figured they have Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. This one, they think will do it. They also think, with the help of Josh Shapiro, that he plays very well in a blue-collar state like Pennsylvania.
Come on, Josh Shapiro. We're going to make you part of the administration.
No question. I mean, that's it. And again, he's younger, and I think he understands his future ahead of him. I think they all understand. And again, I would be shocked and disappointed if Josh Shapiro said, well, fuck this, I'm pissed and I'm not going to do that. But you never got that sense. And you would never get that sense from anybody, really, that was in the running and didn't get it. I think Mark Kelly was even kind of like, he almost feels like he pulled out before she even made a decision.
Yeah, he was almost relieved, like, you know what? I don't fit. Like, sometimes right? You want to be the vice president, but you also know, like, I'm really not a fit here. Anyway, like, he probably felt it, like, no, we didn't. We are not a fit. I can be a service some other type of way for this ticket. So Yeah, I appreciate that.
And I'll tell you what, Lana, you talk about the American dream. This feels like a movie. It feels like just 2 weeks ago, nobody knew this guy was. And now all of a sudden he's the vice presidential
I mean, 2
candidate.
weeks ago, people didn't know who Kamala was either. So
I mean, but I think she had more recognition than Tim
yeah, the
Walz,
name. I just mean they knew her name. They didn't know her.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would push back a little bit on is that I knew Kamala, and I know because we follow this, but I think some people just knew her just based on the Senate hearings that she used to have, where she used to grill. She was like,
well, that's the
feature player.
That's us, though.
I know.
Us with people who don't watch Senate hearings.
But I think what I'm saying is even the people like us didn't know who Tim Walz was.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So, it's,
yeah.
So that's what, and he just comes out of nowhere. Now he's the vice presidential candidate. I mean, nobody, literally, if you told somebody to list me 20 people you think is going to be vice president 3 weeks ago,
not him, right?
If one person said Tim Walz, they would have went, what are you talking about? Who is that guy?
You know what's interesting? It's like, I feel like she got herself a Biden. I
said the same thing. He's a younger, kind of more together Biden.
And he don't look that much younger either, but he is a younger Biden.
Do you know them two are the same age?
Yeah.
That is incredible.
No.
I'll tell you two people who better get prepared, and that is Maya Rudolph and Steve Martin, because Saturday Night Live is going to be asking them to play. I want to get to this clip as well. Kamala Harris, the clip that we saw last time when Joe Biden called Kamala to tell her that she was going to be the vice president. She did the same with Tim Walz, and here's the clip on that.
Hi, this is Tim.
It's Kamala Harris. Good morning, Governor.
Good morning, Madam Vice President.
Listen, I want you to do this with me. Let's do this together. Would you be my running mate and let's get this thing on the road?
I would be honored, Madam Vice President.
The joy that you're bringing back to the country, the enthusiasm that's out there, it would be a privilege to take this with you across the country.
Well, let me tell you, I have just the utmost respect for you. I have really enjoyed our work together. You understand our country. You have dedicated yourself to our country in so many different and beautiful ways. And we're going to do this. We're going to win. And we're going to unify our country and remind everyone that we are fighting for the future for everyone. So let's get out there and get this done, okay?
Let's do it. Do the work in front of us. Let's win this thing.
That's right. All right, buddy. I'll see you soon. Take care. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
Now, obviously, we know this is sort of manufactured, but it is, it is genuine as well. I mean, could you picture Donald Trump picking up the phone and doing the same thing with JD Vance? He didn't even fucking know who he's picked. Somebody told him, we're putting JD Vance in. He's like, fuck, I don't care. I'm too good to lose. I don't care who you put in there.
It's pretty ridiculous, the contrast. Like, it's just like, that's literally why they keep MAGA in a bubble. Yeah. MAGA can't see that, right? Like, they can't see that joy. They can't see what the Democrats are offering. They just, it's almost like they're on, it's kind of crazy because they're not banned from TV. They're not in Russia, but they act like they're banned from watching anything else. Like, they self-suppress themselves.
That's exactly what it's a self-ban. They ban themselves on watching this shit. And that's why we've said they're the most uninformed people in the country. If they allowed themselves to at least see something, and I'm not even talking about other side, any of that shit, just anything that's not batshit crazy podcasters and news channels and radio hosts and all this crazy stuff. I mean, and I think they kind of, they'll see it. Like I said, I got idiot friends that I'm in a text message thing with, and I send them clips and I send them all this stuff, and they just LOL fake news. I'm like, it's the actual person. They're actually talking. What are you talking about? This is beyond ridiculous. So I think they avoid it on purpose. They want to stick their head in the sand. They don't want to know that there is something that counters what they think.
Yeah, because if they watch like that, or even the DNC convention, there's no way in the world, if you're human, that you're not going to get like, because when we see happy thoughts, like that hormone, those things start running through your body, like you're not blank, so like you don't want to see it because you actually don't want to smile, you don't want to like it, so you're just like
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy.
Yep, no question about it. Yeah, it's kind of like a little kid. You're like your 5-year-old saying the F word. I mean, you know it's hilarious. You don't want to laugh.
Right.
You suppress it so you don't make them think.
Yeah. Or a little kid like, just not, I'm not gonna be happy. No, I don't want the candy, and you're like eyeing it. It's just, I don't know, man.
I mean, I think they're going to find themselves to be very sad and very disappointed in November, although some of them I know are feeling it. But before we get to the next topic here, I do like to acknowledge our commenters. We have Kenton Sally, who that's the first time I'm seeing Kenton in here. Welcome, Kenton. The greatest symbol that Walz gives is that the classic divisions of the culture wars have someone that transcends those. He's the stereotypical MAGA type, except the real and true person, not an ass. Absolutely. That's exactly what I was saying. He does come across as genuine. He gives you that MAGA feeling. So if I saw him pull up in his pickup truck at Walmart and get out, if somebody were to say, we're playing a game, you win $1 million if you could tell me who that guy votes for, I would say, all right, well, just give me the $1 million. That guy clearly votes for Donald Trump. And they would say, no, you just lost $1 million, you fucking idiot, because you judged somebody before you got to know him. Kenton also says we still have the DNC convention for another bump in enthusiasm, then maybe a drawn out fight until November. That's another thing I was telling some friends too, is like, you know, Kamala, before she even did this today, she literally wiped out Donald Trump's supposed lead against Joe Biden. And I still say supposed. Nobody's going to convince me that Donald Trump would have beaten Joe Biden. I know people would laugh at saying that. And you have probably a right to, because it wasn't looking good. But I still believe as it got closer to the
we were
election,
going to pull it together.
I think so too. There's no way, because Lana, how many times do you and I talk about on this show that something happens and a week later people forget about it? Literally, this dude was shot at and somebody attempted to take his life and nobody fucking cares anymore. Nobody's even talking about it.
Not talking about it at all. But you know what they will be talking about? His sentencing coming up.
That's correct. Yep, he'll be back in the news on September 18th, I believe.
Something like that.
Yeah, and that is the week after, I believe. So we have the convention, I believe, in less than 2 weeks. 2 weeks from yesterday is the convention starts. Kenton, thank you for your comments. As we move on, we talked about there was a rally today, and I got some clips. I didn't get all the clips that I wanted to, but we did talk about Josh Shapiro and whether or not, he would be excited about the pick. He made it clear today that he was, but there was a funny moment during the during his speech where the crowd kind of they got their inner MAGA crowd together and put together a pretty hilarious chant.
And Donald Trump, well, he's now got a partner with him. Y'all see that guy?
I know this has been brought up a million times. Does he not sound just like Barack Obama?
Not only does he sound, and it's not even like it's like his tone, his movements, like
mannerisms.
Yeah, his mannerisms, but that tone in his inflection. I think that's what it's like he studied him. It's what even this right here. Even that picture here, that look, how he stops and he stares at the crowd.
He's looking for that. I know I'm a badass.
Yes.
Acknowledge me.
Yeah.
No question
even
about
when
it.
he walked out there, I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Lana, I think I want to say it was the Daily Show or somebody. It did something funny, or it might have been Seth Meyers. It might have been somebody. I can't remember who it was, but they're like, he's got the same cadence. He sounds exactly like him. That watch me just put a picture of Barack Obama up and then put his words behind it. And you can just hear it was pretty funny. But
oh my God, that's hilarious. I hope and pray that they put those two on the stage on one of these rallies, because that would be over.
Well, I got one more thing that would be over too, by the way. Whoever is in charge of the DNC convention, if they don't roll out Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter during that thing, they should be fired on the spot for not doing it.
You're right. Somebody said to me on Twitter, I'm sorry. They said, what did they say to me? I said something about Trump being afraid to debate, and stupid troll, because they said like, he'd eat you alive, right? And I said, well, his idol is Hannibal Lecter.
That's true. That's true. You know, by the way, when you say that, I've been more careful on who I respond to on Twitter, because it literally seems, I don't know if you even check this, but I check to see, I like click on the name a little bit to see how many followers, and it's always somebody with like 105. They always, I think there's just, I'm arguing with a bunch of Elon Musk bots, and I'm like,
You're right. You know, you have to pick and choose who you want to argue with. You have to,
if it seems like a real person, then I'll respond. But if it's not, then I'm just like, I'm not wasting my time with this bot.
Sometimes if it's disinformation, I'll say something like somebody's controlling a bot. It's not controlling itself. So
that's, I'll just respond. I'll say, Elon, come get your bot or something like that.
Exactly.
But let's finish out Josh Shapiro and the crowd getting involved as well.
Yeah. J.D. Vance, he's not exactly off to a good start. I think we can all agree on it. But I think part of the reason why he's not off to a good start is this, and it's serious. He doesn't know who he is. And he's not being honest with himself, so he can't be honest with the American people. He can't.
This is Philly, too.
Now, so if I hear you right, and I think I do.
Oh my God!
You're chanting, "He's a weirdo," which means, man, I love you, Philly. Which means, if you're chanting, "He's a weirdo," then you heard of my good friend and our next vice president, Tim Walz. Because Tim Walz, in his beautiful Midwestern plain-spoken way, he summed up J.D. Vance the best. He's a weirdo. And
this is the theme, right? For the rest of the way, they are going to talk about how dangerous they are, but they're also going to talk about how weird and strange and just how off they are. And, to me, that works better than trying to think that you're going to go after the heterosexual male to make them think, that there may be something wrong with them if they vote for a woman. Fine. If you want to try that, let that be your, but see, this resonates because it's absolutely 100% true. This is true. And, he said it, and you could just tell they're going to attack them as just being this party that is old, tired, boring, and weird.
Yeah. And how do you, and it just writes itself, right? Like, it's weird that you want to track teenagers' menstrual cycles. It's weird that you want to stop women from traveling out of state for medical care. Like, it's weird that you want a raped 10-year-old to give birth to a child, but then turn around and decline to feed said children.
Right.
That's weird. Like, that's weird that you vote against the Pump Act, giving women, privacy in the workplace, have to provide a place where they can pump. You vote against that. But then you also want to force birth on women. Like, so all of that is weird and creepy as fuck. Like, it just is.
Lana, they want to take away the school lunches for a 12, 13-year-old, but they want them to be able to work, as well. They're trying to lower the work age for it. It's just, it's so bizarre and so strange, and how anybody looks at this and says, yeah, I gotta vote for this. This is my kind of shit. I don't know what happened to you in your life to where you feel like feeding children is a bad thing. Now, I know on Twitter, I don't even know what the story is. Maybe you saw it, but the number one thing for a little while that was trending was Tampon Tim. I guess he wanted free tampons in the restrooms for girls. And I don't know, somebody brought up to me about boys. I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. But
Green said some stupid shit about that. But someone in the chat said they can't believe Harris picked Walz over Shapiro. And it's interesting because we just spoke about that. You want to just touch on that just one more time? Because like people can't believe it because...
Well, first of all, let me tell you something. He's a little bit of a troll because he hits me on the comments.
Oh, does he?
All the time. And it's okay. I mean, we have a good back and forth. And he likes to call me skinny little guy and all. I don't even know. I mean,
skinny.
I'm not skinny. When I was a kid, I was real skinny, so I decided I got to get in the gym and work out. But I'm telling you, Lana, I'm not kidding. Even at 53, if you saw this chest, like if you felt this thing, it's not bad. One day to the next. But I will say, I'm still in pretty good shape. But anyway,
the trolls are weirdos.
He is a weirdo. Actually, I don't mind. I don't mind having a back and forth with him. He likes to call me names, and I don't care if he does or he doesn't. But
he said he's trying to keep you honest. What does that even mean?
What he's talking about? So this is the rub. This is the whole MAGA side. Is they're trying to find an angle, right? They're trying to find something that is making this pick bad. So they're like, oh my God, they didn't pick Shapiro, and all of them are on Twitter going, we just got the greatest gift of all time. He didn't pick Shapiro. He picked Walz. But of course, if he picked Shapiro, you know what they would have done? They wouldn't have gone, oh no, it's over. They would have gone,
excuse me. Y'all need to worry about your own pick. The guy with that.
Oh, they're worried, Lana. Trust me when I tell you, they are very, very worried.
They're running around saying all the nonsense and ridiculous stuff. Like, worry about that guy disparaging women all day, every day. Worry about the guy who wants 10-year-olds to friggin' have rapist babies and says no exceptions. So if you're raped by your dad, you have to have the baby per Vance, because he's also said 2 wrongs don't make a right.
Yeah.
So
right.
You don't care.
Right. Yeah.
Worry about that guy.
Yeah. Kenton said, cool thing is either way, the other VP contender would have supported the team, no doubt, and probably end up with a cabinet position. All for any choice they made. It was a good pool of talent. There's absolutely no question. The talent pool was phenomenal where the other side doesn't have it. By the way, the guy who likes to troll me, he's also that guy who tries to tell me he's not MAGA. He's down the middle. He's one of those guys. But anytime you say anything about Donald Trump, he loses his shit. I mean, it drives him insane if you say one bad thing about Donald Trump. But anyway, let's get back to the fun. One day you'll probably enjoy this next clip. This is Tim Walz. He was introduced to Pennsylvanians, and he got out on the stage. And this will make him very mad because he's talking about his little buddy, Donald Trump. And this is him talking about Donald Trump's past crimes.
In the face of the COVID crisis. He drove our economy into the ground. And make no mistake, violent crime was up under Donald Trump.
Yeah.
That's not even counting the crimes he committed.
Double tap.
Yep. tell me this crowd's not jacked up and having a good time.
Yeah, crowd size.
I mean, I'm telling you, you look at MAGA rallies.
They're like,
and by the way, that's the rest of the clip is them just cheering. You know, you look at MAGA rallies anymore, and half of them are just like zoned out in the background.
Hannibal Lecter, sharks and boats. And now he's mad at Sean Kemp again. Like, what the hell?
They're like, dude, fucking talk about how much we hate immigrants. And then he gets into hating immigrants, and then they get out of their seats and cheer. Then he starts going off about some goofy shit that nobody knows what the fuck he's talking about. People are looking around like, oh, god damn, when is this thing over? And it's just boring anymore. And I'll have a clip a little bit later about him yelling at the school administration because the seats were not filled up in the same exact arena that Kamala Harris was in the week before. But they're just, like I said, Lana, this is the theme. They're going to go after them for just being clowns, the clowns that they are. They're just going to keep attacking this. And people are, you know, the old saying is the more you keep saying things, the more true it becomes. But it really helps when you keep saying it and it actually is true. That helps the cause.
Did you see his Truth Social post?
Oh, I'm reading that in a minute. Yeah, I'm going to read that. I'll read that soon. But we talk about Tim Walz and we talk about the attacks that they're going to do on the right. This was another really, really good one. This time he goes after his opponent, J.D. Vance.
J.D. Vance literally wrote the foreword for the architect of the Project 2025 agenda.
By the way, real quick, it seems like Project 2025 has been lost a little bit over the last couple of weeks because of everything that's been going on. And we need to get right back into that and make sure that everybody understands that this is one big reason why we cannot allow Donald Trump and J.D. Vance to take over, because Project 2025 is 100% real. It 100% will be implemented by those weird bastards.
Like all regular people I grew up with in the heartland, J.D. studied at Yale, had his career funded by Silicon Valley billionaires, and then wrote a bestseller trashing that community. Come on! That's not what middle America is.
Come on, man.
And I got to tell you, I can't wait to debate the guy.
Crowd explodes again. Not an empty seat in the house. Got to bring it home here.
That is, if he's willing to get off the couch and show up. So, you see what I did there?
I mean, that's the thing. Like I said, these are going to turn into what we're going to do for the American people, and it's going to turn into a Comedy Central roast of these clowns, because that's exactly what they deserve.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing, again, like you said, what we're going to do about the people. And Kamala did that the other day at her last rally, or maybe it was the Georgia one, where she talked about the weirdness, but then straight went into, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to, cap rent, some type of rent moratorium, stop rents from going up, like tackle housing, right? Who's talking about that? Not Republicans. And that's why I don't understand MAGA. That just really baffles me, that just all of them can stand there, listen to Trump ramble on and on about nonsense and not give not one plan. Not one plan. He talks about the border like it's freaking going, like it's on loop, right? The people border crossings are down. They were up with
significantly down.
They were up with him. He had the highest border crossings. Donald Trump was president for 4 years, everyone. Like, let's just really back up and think about that. He was president before. What the fuck did he do for y'all back then?
With the House and the Senate, by the way.
And passed nothing. He didn't cap any prescription costs for you guys. He didn't get rid of junk fees for you guys. He didn't tackle the banks and say, hey, stop charging them these overdraft fees. They're too high. He didn't care about none of that. He didn't talk about any of those things. We couldn't even get toilet tissue. He wasn't tackling any of that stuff. But you guys act like this guy is God and he can cure cancer. He didn't even give a fuck about that either because he was cutting funding to cancer.
Lana, again, it's one of those things. You just got to battle stupidity.
Oh
you got to battle.
goodness.
So what happens is there's something that happens at a particular time. So what they do is very simplistically give the credit to the person who's in charge. Same thing that if something bad happens, you just automatically blame the person that's in charge without understanding the nuances and understanding the actual facts behind why and what. So in other words, we've talked about this a million times, the interest rates for mortgages and the gas prices in 2020, when literally nobody was driving and the Federal Reserve cut the rates down to nothing because they were so afraid of the economy and what happened during COVID, that the interest rates for mortgages were at an all-time low. But you would have MAGA people, even ones who, when you try to explain this to them, or if they even want to understand it, are still going to ascribe that to Donald Trump because it's a win for them in their head and in their book. It's some sort of win for them, even though it's not based on any real reality. It's not like Donald Trump came in and goes, these clowns for years have had interest rates and gas prices high. I'm a genius, and I'm going to come in here and explain to everybody how to get them down and keep it down. And it doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense, but there's no explaining that to them. But you know what, Lana? The good news is I think that we've hopped quite a few hurdles. And I don't even care if we need to explain it to them anymore. I truly feel this whole MAGA thing is dying. It's never going to go away completely because there's going to be MAGA ghosts, after it's dead. But we're slowly but surely getting to the point where people are starting to realize, I'm exhausted. I can't take this anymore. We've got to get rid of this guy. Even if I'm a Republican, in fact, that's another thing we're going to talk about here in a little bit. There's more and more Republicans, lifelong Republicans, real Republicans, Republicans I can respect, that are saying, this is not good. This is not good for our country. And not even just saying that it's not good and I'm not voting for Donald Trump. They're literally stepping up and saying, I am voting for Kamala Harris because we've got to get rid of this. We have to. But speaking of Kamala, unless you had something you wanted to say, Lana?
Yeah, they are stepping up and saying that. Like, it's exciting to see. And just for the audience sake, we're not anti-conservatism.
No.
Or even anti-Republicans, how they used to be.
Right.
It's anti-Trumpism, which, and maybe, the people now that are MAGA supporters, a lot of them probably never paid attention to politics.
100%. Right. That's not a probable. That is a definite.
Right. So they don't even know the Republican brand. They don't know who Republicans are. They don't even know what conservatism is. All they know is what Trump is giving them right now.
Very good point. Yes.
Yeah. And they think that that's what Republicans are, and it's not. So Democrats have never been hating Republicans. We've been able to work with Republicans, with Bush, like go across the aisle. That's what that means. But when Trump came, Trump was like, no, you only listen to me. We work with ourselves. Democrats are bad and they want to pull babies out and eat babies. And there's all the really ridiculous nonsense. And like, this just isn't who they are. So kudos to those Republicans who literally just want this to crash and burn, Trumpism, go away so they can rebuild. And I want them to rebuild too.
Me
Guess
too.
what? If you do rebuild, maybe you'll have a diverse party, because
Right.
the party's not that. If you gotta lie, do mugshots and all this grandizing to get black votes or brown votes, there's something really wrong with your party.
Correct. And one of the things that's really wrong with them is they don't understand it. They don't understand how to get these votes. They just don't. So the only thing that they do is they play into the fear of people that is irrational. It is not real. And they just play into this garbage. And, you know, it's going to ultimately be the downfall for them, because if they win, it's going to be the downfall for the country. But if they don't win, and, you know, these Republicans for Harris understand that. They understand the difference between the downfall of our party and the downfall of this country, because the downfall of the country means their conservatism is dead as well. Right. So, you know, and they don't want it to be dead. And like you said, I don't want it to be dead, and neither do you. I do think when there are different ideas and when there are different people who have different ideas, that it is a good thing. You know, MAGA really started when that whole, I mean, MAGA has been sort of building for years. During Reagan, you know, it started building. And then when the Tea Party movement came along, it really started moving. And then Sarah Palin comes onto the scene and it exploded. And, you know, you knew the day, literally the days MAGA started and conservatism died was the day you saw John McCain on that stage where that batshit crazy lady came in there. I don't trust Obama because he's Muslim. And he was like, no, ma'am. Nope, we're not doing that bullshit up on my stage. You know, he's a good man. He's a good family man. We just have differences in policy. That's all. And then from that point on, Sarah Palin took off more than John McCain took off. And luckily it didn't take off well enough at that point. In fact, I don't think anybody was stopping the Obama train at that point. You know, but once Obama won, that's where it really sparked this anger in these white supposed Christian people who were like, oh no, if you're crazy, if you think I'm going to have our country turn into this entire black culture thing, you're out of your fucking mind. But unfortunately, they're not smart enough to understand that it wasn't set up to turn America into a black culture. It was set up to turn America into what America's supposed to be. You know, it's supposed to be inclusions of everybody and everybody getting a fair shake and everybody having the same say in everything and being able to look at your neighbor and not just, Lana's brought this up before. She's a black woman and she understands that when you see her, you're supposed to see her race, but you're also supposed to see her as a human being and understand who she is, not based on the color of her skin, but of the character that of who she is. And that goes for everybody.
Yeah, totally. But that's just doesn't happen because people are so afraid of the other that, you know, no one wants to break bread. These so-called Christians would never like break bread with the other. Like, why would they do that?
Well, I can tell you as just a straight white male, I'm not Christian, but it's not scary at all. It's not. Just get to know people. Everybody's the fucking same at the end of the day. We might have some differences in the way, you know, our cultures are, or the way, you know, we were raised or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, we're all the same fucking people.
Yeah, but they don't want, a lot of these people don't want to learn any other culture because they think that their culture is the default because it has been the default for so long. Like, it, you know, black commercials. What was that, right? They're like, you don't need black commercials. It's just a commercial. Why are you calling it a black commercial? We got to call it a black commercial because you don't have any black people in your commercials. Like, it's just now starting in 2024 to see more people of color in a commercial. And it's still not fair, but we see more when I was young, I saw none.
Right.
Absolutely none.
And how does that make you feel? I mean, I can't imagine it makes you feel included and
shampoo commercials were white women with the long flowy hair, and it's flinging here and it's flinging there.
Yeah.
No black people with afro, no black people with even straight hair, because it comes in all kinds of textures. To just none. So how do you relate? Like, how do you even have pride in who you are when you don't know who you are, because you're not reflected on anything? So that's where you get black pride from, right? And that's why it's like white power. Why can't we say white pride and white power? You cannot, because you are the default. When you freaking white priding, when white has been everywhere all the time, that's all we see. Not blaming anyone, but that has just been the system. All we want is a fair share. I want my girls to be able to see themselves on TV. I don't know, I'm going long, but this is really important to me. When I was younger, I used to volunteer for like these different Boys and Girls Club mentorship programs. And I would always ask for black girls, right? And it wasn't like I just need black girls because I felt like they needed the most help. I felt like they needed to see someone who was positive in their lives. And there's this one black girl, she was like 12 years old. And she had all these white dolls. And I'm like, yeah, my mom wouldn't buy me a white doll. She was with it. She would go far and wide to find a black doll, because you need to relate to something.
Sure.
And this kid didn't like her hair. She wanted a wig. She was like, "Can you take me to the store and get a wig?" I'm like, I can't take you to the store and get a wig. What are you talking about? Because the dolls had this white hair and they were so pretty, and all the dolls again back then that you saw, the black dolls, they were whack. It was just they didn't take no time with these dolls, and like she felt that the black dolls were ugly, and like that's just a thing. So when you hear people say black pride and black is beautiful and black excellence, that's just us reinforcing that to our girls and our family, because we didn't have it, and we want to make sure that they damn sure have that.
Yeah, and I mean, that is, go ahead. No, it's perfectly well put. And that's, I mean, look, if you can't listen to what Lana just said and not understand it and have any kind of sympathy towards it or whatever it is, I mean, I think maybe you need to reevaluate and understand, we all get up and get out of bed and live life, and we only live one of them, and to put so much energy into being angry at or not liking or hating something because they look different than you is something that I'll never understand. It'll never, ever. The only people that I'll put energy into that I don't like or will piss me off are people who will literally just piss me off because they're not good people. Right. But other than that, and that's why Lana and I will do this together. We will put our energy into this. I don't care if one fucking person watches every night. It doesn't matter. Yeah, I'll put my energy into this because it is important. And it's important that all people step up and say things like this. When Lana, pours her heart out and says what she's saying this because it's important. When I am backing her up and I am understanding what she's saying, and I can look to see and say, that makes sense. That's important. When we all listen to each other and understand each other, that's important. And I do believe, I hope, Lana, and you have kids and maybe you could see this better than I do, but I think as time goes on, you're going to see people who are more understanding and more inclusive. Is all this ever going to go away forever? No, but I think you're going to see more people. And I think this is what's really irritating MAGA more than anything right now, is they're seeing it slipping away. And it has finally come to the crescendo of this garbage is coming to an
Yeah,
not a
racism.
complete end, but it's coming to an end where it's almost not worth the fight for them anymore.
Yeah, it's like it's fucking tired. Being a race has got to be
Right.
tiring. Like, what is
No question.
You're not gonna stop diversity. Like, no matter how much you try to get rid of affirmative action and all, you're just not. Because let me tell you something. Like businesses, big businesses, they don't like the racism stuff because they understand
Right.
that in order for them, even like law firms, insurance companies, working cases and claims, they realize that they need diverse
100%.
input in the way these cases are being worked. They can't just have white male ideas and how white males run things. That's not how the country works anymore. You need to have other people weighing in, diverse people, so you can get different ideas, and companies understand that. And believe me,
that's why Lana and I, by the way, real quick, is why we're perfectly okay with a normal conservative Republican Party, because you do need ideas from everybody.
Exactly. I have no problem. I didn't hate freaking Colin Powell, like Condoleezza Rice. Like, I didn't understand a lot of the stuff she was for, but I mean, I ain't hate her. She had a lot of first. I know she had to like break through glass ceilings her damn self to get to where she was. So I didn't hate her.
No, I mean, in fact, I'm sure there was a part of you that was proud of her, and just like,
exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. So, look, we don't call this show Black and White for no reason whatsoever. We will talk about pretty much anything that we need to talk about, and hopefully that the conversation resonates with whoever it is it's watching. If it's something that you agree with, that's great. If it's something you disagree with, we would love to know why. Baby Juggernaut has joined us. Hey, how are you, Baby Juggernaut? Good to see you. I'm going to get more comments here, but the last clip from the rally, want to play this. I didn't really get a lot of chance to pull any clips of Kamala speaking, but I did get the clip of her taking the stage. And tell me people are not jacked up about this woman running for president. By the way, this is the whole clip. She doesn't even get a chance to talk.
Oh, wow.
All right, she got to say good evening. All right, so Lana, I mean, let's look at the contrast here. I mean, you see the presidential candidate and you see the vice presidential candidate up on the stage. They're both smiling. You could tell they both really enjoy each other. That Tim Walz is on the top of the world. He feels like the luckiest person in the world. That I am the VP pick and I get to work for this woman. You don't get that sense.
Like you got a date with Holly Berry.
No question.
He's like, oh my God.
I don't know if you remember the Bruce Springsteen video Dancing in the Dark where he pulls Courtney Cox out of the audience and gets up and dances with her. And she's like the lucky audience member that got to dance with Bruce Springsteen on the stage.
That's what he looks like.
It feels like.
Oh my God.
Yep.
So excited. It's so sweet.
Yeah, it really was. All right. Well, before we get to the next topic here, let's read some comments. I like the comment section. What do you think, Lana? Do you like the comment section?
Love it. Love the chat.
Good evening, Lana and Brian. That's Baby Juggernaut telling us she's here. Kent and Sally, as a left-leaning independent, I welcome the real Republicans to come back and take over after the dust has settled. Welcome back, brothers and sisters. In the meantime, get the Orange Menace out. I don't know about them taking back over, but we'd have to see what the policies are on the new Republican Party. QDub34 is back. Thank you, QDub, for coming back. Hey, y'all, Baby Juggernaut Waves, Perseverance, Electric, and really is absolutely, I think at this point, the Democratic Party, in really the most unbelievable way, is as energetic now and is jacked up about an election as they have been probably since 2008. And it's, and I think they were really excited about 2020, but I think they were excited and scared to death at the same time. So it was hard to,
exactly.
It was hard
we talked about that. Like, we garnered that energy because we wanted to get rid of Trump more so, like, like Biden, but it was more people were dancing in the street. Because Trump was gone. Like, that was,
with COVID raging still, they were dancing in the street. Could you imagine if there was no COVID? It would have been, it would have been insane. But I will say, and I will say this every fucking week, I don't care who agrees and who doesn't disagree, or who disagrees. And if you disagree, explain to me why. What Lana just said is that initially nobody was really that excited about Joe Biden, but Joe Biden came in and turned out to be one of the best goddamn fucking presidents we have ever had. And if anybody ever says a bad word about that guy, then go fuck themselves, because Joe Biden is a good, great, decent human being and was a phenomenal president. Phenomenal.
And if you say that he's not, then you're lying. Like, you
watch Fox all the time,
right? Oh, because it's like, dude, if you are in a red state and there are buildings going up, manufacturing companies, bridges being fixed, roads being done, that is Biden's infrastructure plan. That had nothing to do with your governor. That is money that is coming from the government.
That is
broadband. That's coming from the government. Trump keeps saying, we gotta bring the jobs back to America. What the hell y'all think Biden, number one, has been saying we need to do? Number two, and doing it with the chip manufacturing company, so we are not beholden to China. Right now, we're doing better than China. China wants
way better.
China wants our economy right now because Biden has taken us out of a muck and put us where we are. Yes, yesterday, market, was plummeting and doing everything, but we had the fastest recovery in one day in fucking history. The biggest bounce back in fucking history. And even how bad it got for one day, it wasn't as bad as Trump's got for fucking 3 times in his presidency. It was way worse than what it was. So what y'all talking about?
Lana, what do I always call you on this show?
Black lady?
Queen?
Just kidding.
What'd you say?
Black lady.
Yeah, you're the black. I'm the white. Yeah. But I don't always call you that. I call you the queen of what?
No, comedy.
Segues. Because that was our next topic, the economy.
True. Oh, good. Yeah, I am the queen of Segway.
You are the queen of Segway.
And I don't even know.
And she has no clue.
We don't even
Literally,
prepare.
we talked about this before. She never knows what we're talking about.
Never.
I said, didn't I do that in the beginning? I said, Lana, we're doing this, and this. And you're like, yeah, sure.
Okay.
And then I think I got the hint. And I was like, she doesn't give a fuck what we're talking about. Just
I can rock and roll with anything. It's fine.
She can rock and roll with anything, and that is a 100% fact. So we are going to segue into what happened yesterday. There was a stock market crash, over 1,000 points lost in the stock market due to a lot of the global things that are going on in Japan, a lot of things that are going on globally. And also, too, we had, which again, this is a little bizarre. We had one unemployment report that came in shorter after 2 straight fucking years of them coming in unbelievable. One report comes in and the world said, oh shit, we're in trouble. But
wild.
because the economy, because there is no perfect formula for this, and because there is no guarantee on what and why, the experts believe that this is what is called a market correction. It is not a recession. It's obviously, in fact, recession, you need 2 straight quarters of GDP growth to go down in order for it to be a recession. The last GDP report had us going up 2.8%. So we're not even close to a recession. So everybody calm down there. Second of all, we made a nice recovery already today. In fact, it got up to like 700, almost 800 points today and almost regained everything it lost yesterday. But I think it closed, getting back at least 300-400 points from yesterday. So, the sky is falling idea is a little too premature, and also too, what the right loved to do yesterday was to blame this on Kamala Harris. So, they've said for weeks now that she's done nothing, and now she's done everything. It makes no fucking sense.
Right.
Then you have that clown that people are going to vote for out there saying, when the stock market continued to go up, he was saying this is all because of me, because they know I'm so far ahead in the polls that the stock market's doing well, and they already know that I'm going to be president, so everybody's jacked up and excited. But when the stock market lost 1,000 points yesterday, guess who the first motherfucker was to be on his little Truth Social to say that they're a disaster? Take a guess, Lana. Who do you think it was? You're right.
The orange felon?
The orange felon, liable rapist, Donald Trump.
Big Daddy Rape a Lot.
But Big Daddy Rape a Lot was on there. But there is a gentleman named Robert Wolf. He is a contributor to Fox News. He was on Fox News trying to explain to everybody who wanted to do the sky is falling thing to just fucking relax and explain to them exactly what's going on.
You cover the economy as well. If we're headed for a recession.
By the way, you have this guy on here who says, I've covered the economy for 40 years. And the other panelist that he has to argue with is Tommy Lahren. I mean, are you fucking kidding me? How embarrassing.
Yeah, how difficult would this be for Kamala Harris?
Yeah, I'd love to debate both you guys on the economy. GDP's higher, jobs is higher, wages is higher. The stock market's up huge under Biden. This idea of what you guys are talking about, there's more 2,000-day losses under President Trump than 500-day losses under Joe Biden.
By the way, one of those losses, he says over 2,000. There was 3 2,000-point losses under Donald Trump. Yeah. One was 3 points short of 3,000.
Get the facts right on where the economy is. Bill, you do a great job on that. But we know that Friday was, if not for the outstanding 15 million plus jobs of the Biden-Harris campaign over the last 3.5 years, 140,000 less plus is normal jobs. There's not going to be a recession. I actually think that there's a possibility that we're going to have the August numbers look incredibly strong.
But a lot of those recovery jobs coming back.
Yeah, so I mean that's and by the way, that announcement doesn't say anything later that he countered. It just cuts off at the end. So I don't want anybody to think I cut it off and he said something that he countered with. But yeah, you have one bad day and then all of a sudden the sky is falling. The stock market, because I saw 401k was trending on Twitter. I think it's important to note that the stock market and the 401k are tied in a lot together. So the day Donald Trump left office compared to today, even with 1,000-point drop, you're still 11,000 points higher than when Donald Trump was in office. Yes. So that is a testament. Again, the stock market doesn't tell you that the economy is great or it's bad necessarily. But the fact that it's gone on 11,000 points tells you that the economy was not horrendous for the 4 years that Joe Biden has been in office. So, I mean, this ridiculousness, it's just so silly. And you got to just argue, you got to continue to go down this road of nonsense of when one bad thing happens, what do? They blow it up as if it's the worst thing in the world. So they'll say, the economy is tanked in the stock market. There goes my 401k, even though you're 401k. I saw somebody put it perfectly the other day or today. They said, yeah, oh my God, we're back to the very hard, awful times of 8 weeks ago is how far back the stock market was about the same, was about 8 weeks ago. So it's not, it's not this big thing that, and then also too, that World War III happening under Joe Biden is another popular thing they like to say. It's so corny.
It really is. It's like, no, that's literally why we need to help Ukraine. Right? So that we don't have to go into anybody's war is the main reason why we are helping Ukraine. But silliness, like, just they don't understand. Why are we giving money to Ukraine and we're not helping America? Like, Donald Trump doesn't help America. Like, he was president for 4 years. What has he done for America? Rich people, like,
imagine being so out of touch that you truly believe that Vladimir Putin, Xi Jinping, and Kim Jong-un are scared to death of him, and they would be on their best behavior if he was president. I mean, could you imagine you really believing that?
Yeah, that means you don't know history. Like, you just didn't read your history books. You don't. And it's so funny because
you don't know your history about Donald Trump either, by the way.
That too. But like, I knew Putin's history when I was like young. Like, we knew he was a KGB. Like, that just was not just no regular how the FBI is. No, this man is friggin' trained in like a mental behavior warfare. Like, not only is he he's dangerous, he's a killer, but he knows how to work your mind. Like, he's brilliant, right?
Yeah, you're right.
He's got some kind of, well, he knows he doesn't, right? He just wants us to think, well, you guys, MAGA, to think that he controls Putin, when Putin cannot be controlled. He's not controllable. And the only reason that Trump loves these dictators is not because Trump is the strong guy. It's because he's hiding under their strength, who they are. Trump's weak. He just wants to rub shoulders with them so you can look at him in fear because people fear Putin.
Putin is an A+ top-notch chess player. Yeah. Donald Trump is still the infant trying to put these squares in the holes and trying to figure out the shapes and how to put them in the thing. This is not even close. And Vladimir Putin knows this. That's why he wants Donald Trump to be the president so badly. Yeah. And they said the other side, they would say that, no, they want Kamala Harris because he'll bully her. He wants nothing to do with her. That's why Russia got involved in this American election in 2016. They wanted nothing to do with Hillary Clinton being president.
They don't help Hillary.
Nothing.
They don't help the Democrats. There's a reason why. Well, actually, I don't think they were helping Republicans before Trump. Trump is the weak link because he can be bought. Yep. He's a traitor.
And manipulated.
You tell him his hair is luxurious. He's like, which documents do you want?
100%. And we laugh at that and we think that that's funny, but that truly is funny. I truly believe that Donald Trump would give up classified documents because he's not a bright person. He's very stupid, and he's given us years and years and years and years of proof of how fucking stupid he is. And I'm not going to sit here and believe that a guy that was a KGB guy, that is one of the smartest leaders, he's dangerous and he's an awful human being, but he's a fucking brilliant guy. Yeah. And you're telling me this KGB guy doesn't know how to manipulate this fucking idiot? What are you
to get documents? Because guarantee he already has the documents. Not only does he already have it, it's not only just Putin. Friggin' the Saudis were golfing here when Trump had them in the bathroom. What, Trump didn't show them anything? Because we already know. We heard the recording of him showing his friends at Mar-a-Lago, wherever, New Jersey, Bedminster, wherever it was. We heard him saying,
he had the private meeting with the Russians when they came to the White House and put, it's like,
he gave them information, and then they were quick to say, oh no, he declassified it.
Yeah, right.
So he could tell them that, like, yo, America would be in a very, there's so many layers to how dangerous Donald Trump is that we forget that layer, that this man will have the nuclear codes.
Yeah.
He's already talking about nuking hurricanes or tornadoes or whatever the hell he was saying. Like, this is the guy that you want to put our lives in the hands of that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, we were talking about, the economy. We were talking about what happened yesterday. I will give it, Fox News. I don't know. You do have some of these people who are going off script a little bit, because we've been playing some Fox News people who are going a little bit off script. Now, you're not going to see that in the time slot that has the most viewers, but this was Neil Cavuto. I think I've played him a couple times in a couple weeks in a row now. This is him calling out Donald Trump about, calling out the Democrats or calling out the president when the stock market goes bad, and what he has to say about this.
Mike, I know, and you do not politicize these things, but the Donald Trump thing in the market amazes me. When they're up, it's all because of him and looking forward to him. When they're down, it's all because of the Democrats and how horrific they are. Yet some of our biggest point fall-offs, 3 of the biggest of the top 10, occurred during his administration. Now, a lot of those were in the COVID years. I get that, but you either own the markets or you don't. It does confuse me. But thank you.
By the way, he also had quite a few drop-offs during non-COVID times, so that needs to be pointed out as well. Right. So I think that's the most frustrating thing. Is like a couple things. One, I'm not happy if the stock market crashes, because if Donald Trump's president, that doesn't make me happy. So I can go, throw my hands up in the air and go, see, this guy sucks.
I hope people lose their stocks.
Yeah. I mean, that does not make me happy at all. I mean, that's just, I've got a 401k. I don't want to see it drop no matter who the fucking president is.
Right.
The second thing is that this idea that you ignore the facts that happened during the Donald Trump administration, but you want to ascribe all of it towards the people you don't like is fucking insane. And that's why Donald Trump has a chance to be president, because people just want to ignore facts. And we've talked about this before. I've heard this many times before, is that we've gone from arguing legitimate opinions to arguing facts now. Like, you're not even allowed to say a fact, because then it turns into an argument. It's like, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
All right. Couple more comments. Let's get back to the comments. Excuse me. He's one of us. At first I wanted Shapiro, but the more I see clips of Walz, yeah, I mean, I think people are going to fall in love with this guy if you haven't already, for sure. He's just he seems like that regular dude that, is kind of built in a lab for, hey, get a regular dude. That's what you need. I mean, it literally feels like a Disney movie with this guy. He's one of us, normal. I think they will make a good team, Baby Juggernaut says, and he's a regular guy. Everybody's with the same opinion there. Good vibes for sure, QW34 says. Kenton Sally says, LOL, apologies. I meant to take over the Republican Party back from the abyss, not actually win. Have a nice night. Enjoy the fireworks until 2025. Thank you for clearing that up. Former President Cheeto, Dorito 45, and I smell roasted orange duck. I think you are correct, because I am smelling the same thing. And in fact, we're going to give Baby Juggernaut the award for segue here, because because it seems as if Trump is starting to lose it. They're starting to feel it now, and they're getting frustrated. They're getting angry, and they're trying to figure out whatever angle they can find, Lana, to get after Harris, to get after Walz, to get after whoever it is. And so far, they've been all extremely lame attempts. Lana brought up earlier the tweet that Donald Trump, or the truth or whatever that he put out earlier. This is how sad and desperate this guy is. He is so scared now about running against Kamala Harris for a few reasons. A, because he's starting to slip and starting to, I think he's starting to feel like the old man that he is and the clown that he is, and he's starting to slip in the polls, which is a big thing for him. And I just get this weird feeling, Lana, and correct me if I'm wrong, and anybody watching in the comment section can correct me if I'm wrong as well. I don't think he likes the idea of losing to a black woman. What do you think?
I think you're right.
Okay. So the reason why I think that, this is one signal. This was his
one signal.
This is the one signal that finally got me.
The one signal.
Yeah. Finally convinced me after this truth or whatever you call it. Okay, this is his new move. He thinks he's going to convince people. Okay, let's just read it. What are the chances that crooked Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of the U.S., whose presidency was unconstitutionally stolen? He actually spelled stolen right this time. He usually spells it with 2 L's. From him by this is his new thing, by the way. Kamala?
Yep.
That like, what is that? Is there something behind that, or is it he just intentionally spelling her name wrong?
I don't know, maybe because it sounds African. I don't know.
It's gonna scare a lot of his voters right into voting for him anyway. But Kamala, Barack, and in all caps, by the way, Hussein Obama. He's really scared when he threw the Hussein in there. Crazy Nancy Pelosi, shifty Adam Schiff. He's going after all of them. Crying Chuck Schumer and others on the lunatic left. Crashes the Democratic National. By the way, this guy's running for president. He's calling people nicknames. I mean, and he's almost 80 years old. Crashes the Democratic National Convention and tries to take back the nomination, beginning with challenging me to another debate. He feels like he made a historically tragic mistake by handing over the U.S. presidency, a coup in all caps, to the people in the world he most hates, and now he wants it back now. So, Lana, what's he doing here? Is he convincing himself? Is he convincing others? Or does he think he's smart enough to convince people to put Joe Biden back into this race?
It sounds like he was talking to Joe. Is he trying to protect Joe now? What is this? Is he a Democrat?
Well, that's what he does. He did that with Hillary after it was over. He did it with Joe. He does this, and he's feeling so cornered now that I don't know. I guess the whole play here is he thinks he's going to shame or scare Biden and go, yeah, you know what? This was taken with me. And, maybe he got a report that he's pissed off at Nancy Pelosi or something. So he's like, oh, I've got a perfect angle. I'm going to really get this, them butting heads. And it's not going to work. I mean, we all know that because, again, he's stupid and they're smart.
Yep.
And it's not going to work.
Like it was like he was somebody's drunk uncle. Like, when you go, like, don't send that tweet. Don't send that tweet after you've been binging.
Yeah.
That's what that looked like. Like, who?
The problem is he sends that one tweet and he follows it up with like 8 more in the next 10 minutes.
Right.
And then he's the guy that you see online on your social media and you go, I got to block this because this is just too much to me. This is a little bit too over the top. But this is a clip from him last week. You can tell how much it bothered him because in the very same arena the week before, Kamala Harris was in Atlanta and she had some stars there. So, of course, one of the big talking points is because they had celebrities like Megan Thee Stallion there singing a song or two. It wasn't a full-fledged concert. It was her coming out and saying a few words.
Yeah. Why didn't they leave when she was done?
Well, that's the thing is they said that they did. They said everybody started to leave, that when Megan Thee Stallion was done, that people started started filing out, which clearly is not true. And you're right to laugh at it because that's exactly what we do now at these people is we laugh at them. But he was on the same stage and during his speech with no celebrities and no concerts or nothing like that. He always prides himself in filling up these arenas, but there were plenty of empty seats. And he noticed this and he decided he was going to put the blame on the school administration of the place where it's being
It's obviously It's obviously, Marjorie, a very liberal school, I guess, right? I'm not happy with the school.
There it is. He's got to call out Marjorie Taylor Greene. He needs some enforcements there, and he needs to blame liberals on this because he's looking around. And there were, if you go and you look at some clips here, Lana, there were plenty of empty seats.
Let them come in. They're standing. It's 95 degrees out. Let them come in. There's some seats.
This is him pretending like there's thousands of people dying to get in, and they kept
it's something. It's weird. It is like that's just such the part. Who fakes like? Oh my! He must have been a fucking awful kid, and
he was. They send him to military school.
Like he's just really. I mean, but what do we expect? He's the guy that put his freaking face on a Time magazine, like faked it like he was on Time. So he fakes everything. Like,
Lana, there's and I was going to pull this clip today. I've got too many clips. I can't even fit them in all tonight. But there is one clip of him just randomly waving at nobody. I mean, it's just one of those things where he's just waving.
Yeah.
But let's finish off his temper tantrum.
Now they got thousands of people. They won't let them in.
Not true.
The Harris presidency, you know why? Because they don't want to show that we're successful. That's all it is. They don't want to show. She has to go get entertainers. They start leaving as soon as she opens her mouth.
Yeah, see, that's his thing. He says that they leave, and of course that the liberal school, the media, they don't want to show how successful he really is. And he's embarrassed. He knows when he's looking around, he sees those empty seats. He knows he's got to address it somehow. And he's done a masterful job over his entire life of suckering suckers. But, at some point, people sometimes are going to be like, I don't know, man, this one's a little different.
People outside, let them in. The line is down. He did the same thing in the court. He's like, they had the blockades and they wouldn't let the people in through the blockades to come to the courthouse. Remember his case? He was saying
that was the greatest. And you know what the funny thing is when they said they wouldn't let him in, the cameras would go right out there and just pan the entire area and say, there's
one guy,
literally nobody. Yeah, there's one guy here like, yeah, got his sign up. And they're like, there's nobody here. What are you talking about? They go up and show, here's my cell phone. Here's this actual time and date. So you can see that while he's talking, nobody is out here.
Oh my God.
But if you want to get inside the mind of a MAGA person right now, how freaked out and scared they are. And this guy's actually a pretty decent actor, John Voight. This poor guy is just losing his mind. And this will give you an idea of inside the mind of one of these MAGA people who you would think, if you listen to this guy, you would think that this is one of those guys they interview outside of, the MAGA rallies. But he is a legitimate actor, probably in the saddest scene of any movie I've ever seen in my entire life. Have you ever seen the movie, God damn it, what was the name of the movie? Ricky Schroeder was his son. I can't believe I can't remember the name. All right, I'll remember it while I'm playing because I bring this up all the time. And Ricky Schroeder's nuts too, by the way, now. But this is John Voight. This is inside the mind of a MAGA right now, and he's frightened.
A lifetime now. We the people are in trouble if this nation picks Kamala Harris. We must stop this crime that is happening. It's a war crime that Obama is directing, and Kamala Harris will be the cackling hyena that just listens and repeats. If we do not stop this horror, you, my friends, will have the biggest horror that you will not know how to end. We must all see this truth, become one with this understanding that God will guide us with words of wisdom, that we may understand that Donald Trump will make any sacrifice to save America. We the people are in danger, and we must vote for President Trump because he will save this nation. And the left are all afraid of his strength because he is only for the people. He's not for the power, for the greed, the lies, or wanting to destroy one's hard-earned earnings. We must stop this madness now. Our children are in danger. The left is trying to take away your children and turn them into non-binaries. You all on the left, the ones who are my peers that preach, you all know who you are. What have you all learned in this life? Have you learned the lessons that will bring you to the higher place of eternity? This is now all your lessons. For each one who votes against Trump, this will be among the worst crimes that you will see in your lives. And
Lana, have you learned your lesson? And did any of that make sense to you? I mean, let's give it a fair shot.
It's just embarrassing.
You think so?
Somebody that fucking old, and you would think he has a little more sense. And Trump is a rapist. Like, that's just the bottom line. No one can explain to me why you vote for a rapist. Like, the only thing I hear is like, what is a sexual assault? It's still a rape. It's only how it's defined in New York. The judge said it was rape.
Yeah.
But you're voting for, even if it was sexual assault, you're voting for someone who committed sexual assault? Like, what the, among other stuff? It's just so odd.
Yeah, but you got to take into account, Lana, that God probably told him that none of that was true. So if God tells you, you got to take that into account, I would think.
But Trump tells us it's true. He told us he likes grabbing women by the vagina. Like, is that not true? That didn't come from his mouth? He said it.
You're making way too many good points. I have no idea how to respond to that, but I'm sure a true MAGA person would know how to respond to it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Imagine me not being able to answer a question because I'm not smart enough to answer a stupid question. Or I'm not stupid enough to answer a smart question. I don't even know what the fuck I'm saying. But it's all crazy. Okay. So we're going to get towards the end here. We spoke earlier, Lana, about how there is a movement now of people on the right who are seeing this ridiculousness, and they're pretty much done with it. This is John Giles. He's a mayor in Arizona, and Robin Shaw. She was a former state senator, and they started a Republicans for Harris movement, and they were in front of the cameras, and they had this to say.
Time has come for us as Arizona Republicans to admit the obvious and to start saying the quiet part out loud, which is that our party's nominee is not qualified for office, and that we need to vote for the adult in the room, and that is Kamala Harris.
It is time to put partisan loyalties aside and vote for the leadership that will truly represent the people we want to be in the eyes of the world. Character matters.
Yeah, and real quick, before we discuss that, there was one more, Jeff Duncan, who used to be the, what was he?
Georgia governor?
Yeah, the Georgia Secretary of State, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was in charge of, he's in charge of a lot of the voting there and stuff like that. He was on CNN talking about the same thing. So let's listen to what Jeff has to say, and then we'll wrap up the show.
Our president went down. He actually spoke in the same arena that Kamala Harris did earlier in the week. And he certainly had his attack lines, many of them on Kamala Harris. But he also went after the sitting governor, who happens to be a Republican. Let's listen.
Your governor, Kemp, and Raffensperger are doing everything possible to make 2024 difficult for Republicans to win. Kemp.
Now, real quick, Lana, he's extreme, even though we don't like Brian Kemp. He's very, very popular in Georgia.
It says you're fired.
Oh, by the way, if you see the gentleman in the bottom left of your screen, he got a lot of attention because I think he was suspected that he was paid to be there, because he would just very strangely keep holding that sign up, and like
it looked like he was firing Vance. Was it Vance that was speaking?
Yes.
He's like,
yep. And a lot of people pointed that out, and I don't know if it's true or it's not true, but I mean, I think there's certainly something to it. But let's finish out.
Oh, absolutely true.
Yeah, no question. Let's see what Mr. Duncan has to say here.
Is very bad for the Republican Party. He wouldn't do anything. He could have ended the travesty with a phone call because I did nothing wrong.
Kemp is your former boss.
We served together for sure. Brian Kemp has forgotten more about being a Republican than Donald Trump knows about being a Republican. Brad Raffensperger and myself included, we have done more for the conservative cause than Donald Trump has ever done.
Governor.
This is now starting to not be Donald Trump's problem. This is starting to be the Republican Party's problem. We have to call him out for what he is. He's a felonious thug who walks down the street and throws sucker punches at people like Brian Kemp, like African-American journalists, like John McCain, and the list goes on and on and on again. And the Republican Party is content sitting across the street watching it happen and not calling him out, not jumping into that fight and saying, you are wrong for us. This 10% in the middle, which now feels like it's growing to be bigger than 10% in the middle, that's going to decide this election, are paying attention. And I've never seen a human be more self-destructive than Donald Trump the last 2 weeks. He continues to do it over and over and over again. And when he loses, and the Republican Party finally catches their breath and wakes up and says, we need a GOP 2.0, there'll be some people around, but it's going to take time to fix. My hope is that Kamala Harris ends up being a blank canvas for us to be able to help work these new policies and new ideas into place. That's the risk I'm taking as a Republican voting for Kamala Harris.
Final word.
You know, I'll tell you, that to me is a true American. That is somebody that stands for the values of this country, because it's like, I'm not playing this is my team, because people would accuse you and I of that, but I can speak for myself. I have a pretty good feeling Lana would be the same, and she will let me know as soon as I say this. But if we had somebody as wacky as Donald Trump on the Democratic side that was just did not care about people and just was so awful, you know, I don't think we would be blindly backing him.
No, come on. Like, that doesn't, Democrats don't do that, which is the odd thing, right? Because so many people on the other side do it. Al Franken, we loved Al Franken. Yep. Al Franken took an inappropriate picture, and that
years ago,
and that was the end of his political career.
Right,
political lawmaker.
Yep, it makes no sense. Now, again, this is a little bit of a different time where it was a little bit more sensitive at the time. The Me Too movement had just started, but again, at the end of the day, ridiculous. I mean, absolutely ridiculous to kick him out of the party. It made no bit of sense. And I have a feeling, obviously, if that had surfaced today, there's a 0% chance they would have kicked him out, because they're like, wait a minute, hold on. You know, if they have no standards, doesn't mean that we don't have to have any standards, but maybe we need to relax a little bit and understand, you know, that this, you know, I don't know if this was our best move. That was a way over the top overreaction. But, you know, I am glad to see that there are a lot of Republicans. I mean, the Republican primaries made it clear. People literally went out of their way to vote for people who had dropped out of the race already, like in Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis and stuff like that. They got up and said, I'm going to put a protest vote in and let people know that as much as I love the Republican Party growing up and the conservatism and all this, this is not the Republican Party. This is not conservatism. This is nonsense. And I don't care what we need to do. We will do everything we can to get rid of this nonsense. And that's why I am feeling better and better. Because Lana, when have you ever, growing up, literally, because we've been following politics a long time, and even when you're kids, you could go back in the history books and look this up. When did you ever see a movement of people in your own party saying, nope, I refuse, absolutely refuse? I've never seen this before in my life, ever.
Yeah, no, it started to break with like Kissinger and what's her face? Why did I lose her name? You know, I can't remember. They got rid of her from what is her name? She was like the first one that spoke out against Trump. The fuck is her name?
Liz Cheney.
Yeah, Liz Cheney. I forget her. I want her and Kissinger to come out and say they are voting for Kamala. I don't think I've heard them say that yet.
Who? Liz Cheney?
Yeah.
I don't know that she said that. I want to say that maybe she did, but I see there's a big movement to get Mike Pence to come out and say that he's going to vote for Kamala
He'll
Harris.
never say that.
Yeah, you would. You don't know. I mean, I don't know. You're probably right. He probably never will, but it is the right thing for him to do. George W. Bush needs to come out and do it as well. The whole Bush family needs to. Whoever's alive in the Bush family needs to do that.
Yeah.
Because again, this is about the country. It's not about
generals. All those people who worked under Trump's administration should literally go and say, but they won't, because we heard what's his name, Bolton, who came out and says that Trump is unfit, but says that he said Biden's just as bad, or like, what are you talking about?
Nikki Haley's up on the stage for Donald Trump at the convention.
Yeah, so they're just not. They're just kind of. I don't know.
I will. The only thing about Mike Pence is that I will say about him is that he literally came out and said, "I will not vote for Donald Trump." He at least said that. So hopefully there's something we could do. But you know what? Be honest with you, Lana, I'm feeling better and better. I don't think they're going to need it. I think this is going to be a bigger. I think it's going to be a bigger win than Biden. I really believe he's going to pull off states that we're not even talking about. And the state of Florida is going to somewhat be in play. I know it sounds crazy, but when you have 2 ballot initiatives on there that are going to bring out people who otherwise would not vote, that's huge already. And then you now have this whole new dynamic of the Democratic Party that was not factored into Florida when Biden was running. And, we still had the ballot initiatives, and people, even when Biden was running, I heard some people in the state of Florida that are heavy in the Democratic Party in this state that are saying, don't count out Florida. We've got abortion, we've got marijuana on the ballot, so don't count it out. Now you throw in Kamala Harris and you throw in this excitement, and you throw in young people. And
that was wild. You got the villages over there, like so.
The villages, yes. Which, man, if you don't know the villages, because I know the villages is only about a little over an hour from where I live. And the villages is a MAGA hotbed. But video has surfaced from the villages recently where there was a huge Kamala Harris party. And if that's happening in the villages, Florida has a chance. And if she wins Florida, you talk about, I would never say fuck Pennsylvania or fuck those other states, because we want to pile on. We want to win as big as. But what I'm saying is, if she wins Florida, it's over. It's over. There's no chance. There's absolutely no chance. So, so I would not rule this out. I think she may even make some stops here in Florida. I know she's got a busy schedule coming up over the next week or so. I know she's going to be in Nevada, Arizona, Michigan, Wisconsin. She's in Pennsylvania tonight. She's going to be in all the battleground states. So we look forward to that. We'll end here by seeing if there's any comments here. I'm so afraid of diversity and equity. Justice versus the chicken. Let's go. 100%. I think Kinzinger did endorse Kamala. He did. 100% he did. Kinzinger is part of the new group of Republicans for Harris. That is correct. So I want to thank Baby Juggernaut for joining us. QW34 for joining us again. I really appreciate that. Kent and Sally, a new a person that has joined. First time I've seen Kent. I appreciate you. I also, my boy, one day to the next, who I'm sure will be in my comment section before I even go to bed tonight.
Maybe he's crushing.
You think so?
Yeah.
I told you.
Yeah, I'm thinking so. He's commenting on your body. So
yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
What?
Hey, that's
Whatever
right.
you want to do. All right. Well, Lana, you have anything that you want to add before we go?
No, I'm tired, man.
Me too. I am too. I look it. So, all right. Well, thank you everybody for joining. We will be back on Tuesday night of next week. Join Lana on her show Thursday nights on the Quest Show live at 8:00, and you can go subscribe and like this show and all that bullshit. All right. We'll see you. Bye, everybody. Good
Bye.
night.
Thank you, guys.
Good night.
Thank you, Kat.